In the serene forest monastery, Buddha sat under the ancient Bodhi tree. His disciples gathered in quiet reverence. The air was thick with anticipation as Buddha prepared to speak, his calm presence commanding attention. Among the disciples sat Ananda, a young farmer troubled by his unyielding search for motivation. "Master," Ananda began, his voice heavy with doubt, "I wish to follow your teachings, but my spirit is weak and unmotivated." Buddha gazed at him kindly, his eyes reflecting a profound understanding that seemed to pierce through Ananda's turmoil. "Why?" Buddha asked. "Do you seek motivation to walk the path of truth? What binds you to this fleeting desire?" Ananda hesitated, his brow furrowed as he searched for an answer within the tangled thoughts of his mind. "I feel without it, I cannot strive, cannot move forward, cannot succeed in my journey," he replied earnestly. Buddha smiled gently, his voice carrying the weight of timeless wisdom. "Motivation," he began, "is like the morning dew on a leaf. It sparkles in the light but evaporates with the sun." The disciples murmured softly, their curiosity piqued by Buddha's analogy. Ananda listened intently, his heart yearning for clarity amidst his confusion. Buddha continued, his voice steady and deliberate. "A man chasing the horizon believes he will reach it if he runs far enough. But does he? Master," Ananda answered, his gaze fixed on Buddha, the realization dawning upon him like the first rays of sunrise. "In the same way," Buddha said, "chasing motivation is like chasing the horizon. It keeps you moving but never fulfills." Ananda's eyes clouded with doubt once more. "But, Master," he asked, "how can I walk the path without the spark that drives me forward?" Buddha paused, his expression serene as he considered Ananda's question. "The mind," he began, "is a complex mechanism, a garden of thoughts, intentions, and habits that shape your actions. The gardener," Buddha explained, "does not wait for rain to tend to his garden. He nurtures it with patience and care. In your mind's garden," Buddha continued, "motivation is but a flower. Beautiful, yes, but ephemeral and dependent on external forces." The disciples nodded, their faces reflecting understanding as Buddha's words wove vivid images in their minds. "To act without motivation," Buddha said, "you must nurture the roots: discipline, intention, and practice. These are the forces that endure." Ananda's shoulders relaxed slightly, the tension easing as Buddha's wisdom began to settle in his heart. "Consider the river," Buddha said, gesturing toward the distant sound of water flowing steadily through the forest. "It moves not because it desires to, but because of the forces that guide it. The river flows," he explained, "because of gravity and time, forces beyond its will, but constant and unwavering." Ananda nodded slowly, the metaphor resonating deeply within him. "So, Master," he asked, "should I surrender to the forces that move me, like the river does?" Buddha's smile widened, his approval evident in his eyes. "Not surrender," he said, "but understand and harmonize with these forces." The disciples leaned forward, eager to grasp the essence of Buddha's teachings. Ananda, too, felt a newfound curiosity blooming within him. "To understand," Buddha elaborated, "is to see your actions not as the product of fleeting desires, but of enduring habits. Each day," Buddha said, "is a chance to cultivate these habits, to lay stones on the path that will carry you forward." The wind rustled the leaves above, a gentle reminder of the impermanence of all things, including the moment they shared. Ananda raised his hand, his voice steady but tinged with uncertainty. "Master, what if my habits are weak? How do I strengthen them without the spark of motivation?" Buddha's gaze softened, his voice lowering as if speaking directly to Ananda's soul. "A flame," he said, "does not ignite on its own. It requires kindling, a steady hand, and perseverance. In the same way," Buddha continued, Your habits require nurturing through small, consistent actions, even in the absence of desire. He picked up a small pebble, holding it between his fingers as the disciples watched with intrigue. Drop by drop, he said, water carves stone, not through force, but through patience and persistence. The pebble fell softly to the ground. A quiet yet profound demonstration of the principle Buddha had just shared. The mechanisms of your mind, Buddha said, are like the river carving through rock. They move with or without your will. Recognize these mechanisms, he advised, and use them as tools to carry you forward, not as burdens to bear. Ananda's eyes shone with a mixture of gratitude and understanding. His heart lighter than when he had first spoken. Buddha's voice rose slightly, addressing the entire gathering. Do not seek motivation, he said, for it is a mirage. Seek instead the wisdom of understanding your mind. The disciples bowed their heads, their hearts filled with the profound simplicity of Buddha's words. Each step you take, Buddha concluded, is the path. Walk it with intention, and the journey will unfold before you. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the monastery as Buddha's teachings echoed in their minds. The disciples sat in quiet reflection, the truths they had learned sinking deep into their souls like seeds in fertile soil. Ananda smiled, a sense of peace washing over him as he realized the path ahead was no longer shrouded in doubt. In the fading light, the forest seemed to hold its breath, bearing witness to the timeless wisdom shared beneath the Bodhi tree. Another day, the forest monastery awakened under a pale sunrise. The air filled with the hum of life stirring gently. The disciples gathered once more beneath the Bodhi tree, their hearts seeking wisdom and their minds brimming with questions. Among them sat Maha, a merchant weighed down by despair, his gaze fixed on the ground before him. Master, Maha began, his voice trembling, I have lost my way. My strength falters, and I cannot find the will to persist. Buddha regarded him with calm understanding, his eyes reflecting the vast patience of a timeless ocean. Maha, Buddha said softly, why do you believe your strength depends on the will that falters like the flicker of a flame? Maha raised his head, confusion clouding his expression. Master, I thought motivation was the axle upon which the wheel of life turns, he replied earnestly. Buddha smiled gently, his voice steady as the flow of the river nearby. The wheel of life, he began, does not turn on the axle of motivation, but on the gears within. The disciples murmured quietly, their interest piqued by the profound metaphor. Buddha continued, his tone deliberate. You, Maha, have bound your strength to something impermanent, as a house built on shifting sands cannot stand. But, Master, Maha asked, if motivation is not the axle, then what drives the wheel forward? Buddha gestured toward the riverbank, where the water flowed steadily over time-worn stones. The river flows, he explained, not because it chooses to, but because of gravity and the passage of time. Maha's brow furrowed, his thoughts grappling with the depth of Buddha's words. Buddha rose, leading the disciples to the water's edge, where the river sang its unending song. Look here, Maha, Buddha said, his voice gentle yet firm. The water moves tirelessly, not seeking a destination, but guided by forces beyond its will. The river, he continued, wears away stone not through sudden force, but through quiet persistence over time. Maha knelt by the river, his reflection trembling on the water's surface, a mirror to the uncertainty within him. Master, Maha asked, if I am not the river, how can I flow steadily without the strength I lack? Buddha's gaze softened, his hands folding before him as he addressed Maha's doubt. You are both the river and its current, he said. Your strength lies not in sudden bursts, but in enduring motion. To understand this, Buddha explained, you must look within. where the gears of discipline and understanding turn unseen yet unwavering. He picked up a smooth stone from the riverbank, holding it before the disciples. This stone, he said, did not become smooth in a single moment. It was shaped by countless drops over time. The disciples nodded, their faces alight with the realization of Buddha's teachings. Maha reached out, taking a handful of water, its coolness slipping through his fingers like time itself. Master, Maha asked, how do I begin to move like the river? To flow with the same quiet persistence? Buddha knelt beside him, the sun casting a warm glow over his serene expression. Begin, he said simply, by placing one stone at a time upon your path, each step building the journey. The river does not question its course, Buddha continued. It moves forward, trusting in the forces that guide it. Maha looked at the river, his heart stirred by the simplicity and depth of Buddha's words. Buddha rose, gesturing for the disciples to return to the shade of the Bodhi tree. The gears within you, he said, are the habits and practices that sustain you when motivation is absent. To strengthen these gears, Buddha explained, you must act with intention, aligning your daily actions with the purpose that moves you. Maha bowed his head, gratitude blooming within him as he began to grasp the wisdom Buddha shared. The disciples listened intently, their hearts inspired by the clarity of Buddha's guidance. Remember, Buddha said, that the wheel turns not by fleeting sparks, but by the quiet endurance of steady effort. His voice softened, carrying the weight of timeless truths to the ears of those seeking understanding. Each drop of water, Buddha said, is insignificant alone, but together, they carve valleys, shape mountains, and create rivers. The same is true of your actions, he continued. Each small, deliberate step builds the path that carries you forward. Maha's eyes shone with renewed determination, his spirit lifted by the simplicity and power of Buddha's wisdom. Master, Maha said, I see now that strength does not come from waiting for the fire, but from embracing the flow. Buddha smiled, his approval evident in the gentle light of his gaze. Yes, Maha, he said, flow like the river, guided by purpose, shaped by patience, and sustained by discipline. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with the profound teachings they had received beneath the Bodhi tree. The day wore on, the forest alive with the harmony of life. As Buddha's words echoed softly in their minds, do not seek motivation, Buddha concluded, for it is a mirage. Seek instead the quiet power of understanding your inner mechanisms. The disciples sat in silent reflection, the truth of Buddha's teachings taking root in the fertile soil of their minds. The river continued its journey, a silent witness to the wisdom imparted by Buddha beneath the ancient tree. Maha smiled, his heart lighter, as he realized the path ahead was no longer clouded by doubt and hesitation. In the quiet of the monastery, the echoes of Buddha's words lingered, a timeless guide for all who sought the truth. Another day, the monastery stood still under the quiet gaze of the moon, its silver light casting gentle shadows. The disciples gathered once more beneath the Bodhi tree, their hearts open to the wisdom Buddha would share. Among them sat Sarva, an artist whose spirit felt tethered by the elusive fire of inspiration. Master, Sarva began, his voice heavy with frustration. My brush lies idle until the fire within me burns bright. Buddha regarded Sarva with calm compassion, his gaze steady and filled with understanding. Sarva, Buddha said softly, why do you wait for the fire to move your hand? Is your brush not yours to wield? Sarva lowered his eyes, the weight of his doubt evident in the furrow of his brow. I cannot create, Sarva replied, without the warmth of inspiration. It feels as if my very soul refuses to move. Buddha's voice was gentle, yet carried the gravity of timeless truth. The fire you seek, he began, is like the fleeting light of a shooting star. The disciples leaned forward, captivated by the profound simplicity of Buddha's words. Buddha continued, his tone measured and calm. Do you see, Sarva, that waiting for fire leaves you in darkness? The moon moves, even without the sun's light. Sarva looked up, his curiosity piqued by Buddha's metaphor, his mind stirring with questions. Buddha rose slowly, leading the disciples to a clearing where the moon hung low over the horizon. Observe the moon, Buddha said, his hand gesturing toward its quiet, steady presence in the night sky. It does not wait for the sun to rise. It follows its path, unyielding, trusting the rhythm of its orbit. Sarva nodded hesitantly, his gaze fixed on the moon, its pale light reflecting his own uncertainty. Master, Sarva asked, how can I move forward without the fire? My spirit feels cold, my hand heavy and idle. Buddha's gaze softened, his voice lowering as he spoke directly to Sarva's doubt. Your hand, he said, moves not by the spark of inspiration, but by the rhythm of your breath, the pulse within you. To paint without fire, Buddha explained, is to trust the quiet strength of practice, the discipline that endures beyond fleeting desire. Sarva's brow furrowed, his thoughts grappling with the depth of Buddha's words. Buddha knelt beside him, his hands folded in quiet reflection. Consider the artist, Buddha said, whose masterpiece is not born in a single moment, but shaped by countless strokes over time. The fire, he continued, may ignite passion, but it consumes. The steady hand of patience creates without burning, without faltering. Sarva raised his brush, its wood smooth and worn from years of holding, his grip tentative. Master, he asked, how do I begin to paint without the fire that once drove me? Buddha smiled gently, his approval evident in the kindness of his gaze. Begin, he said simply, by placing your brush to canvas each day, even when the fire is absent. The disciples murmured softly, their hearts stirred by the simplicity and power of Buddha's teachings. Buddha rose, addressing them all as the moonlight bathed their faces. The mind's mechanisms, Buddha said, are the tools by which you move, live, and create. Do not wait for fire. Follow the rhythm. Sarva's eyes shone with a mixture of gratitude and understanding, his heart lighter than when he had first spoken. Master, Sarva said, I see now that creation is not born of waiting but of trusting the quiet pulse within me. Buddha smiled, his voice warm and encouraging. Yes, Sarva, he said, paint each day, not for the fire, but for the rhythm that moves you. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with the wisdom shared beneath the ancient Bodhi tree. The night wore on, the forest alive with the harmony of life. As Buddha's words lingered in their minds, do not seek fire, Buddha concluded, for it is an illusion. Seek instead the steady beat of your breath, your thoughts, your being. The disciples sat in silent reflection, the truth of Buddha's teachings taking root like seeds in fertile soil. Sarva smiled, his brush now poised to move, his spirit lifted by the wisdom imparted beneath the moonlit sky. In the quiet of the monastery, the echoes of Buddha's words remained, a timeless guide for all who sought the truth. He led me to a clearing where an ancient tree stood tall, its roots deep, its branches reaching for the heavens. This tree thrives, Buddha said, because it embraces both sunlight and rain, each nourishing its growth. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.